I'm here with Ty of Lords of the Trident to talk about their upcoming EP, video game EP, out October 1st as self-release, independently released, I should say. How's things going with you?
Things are great. Things are busy. We just got off of Mad with Power. We're prepping for the CD release, and then shortly thereafter, we're doing a tour of Japan with Seven Spires. And in between all that, Adrian from Seven Spires and I are flying around the world singing with the Sonic Symphony. So it's been a busy time, you know.
You are a very busy dude, I must say. The band is busy. You guys are doing great things, and that's why we're here to talk about some of those great things you guys are doing and some of the great things you guys will be doing, including that Japan tour. I definitely want to touch upon that.
Yeah, yeah.
But let's start off with the EP, video game EP. I understand that there is some video game inspiration in terms of some of your favorite video games and things like that going into this EP. Where did that idea start to brew?
Yeah, so we had a number of songs left over from our last full length, The Offering, that were they didn't either like thematically fit. The Offering was a very sort of like it was a concept record that was sort of a tragedy, so it was very dark. And there was just a few songs that we kind of came up with where we were like, it doesn't really feel like it fits on this album. But we didn't want to throw them away. So initially we started thinking about, okay, maybe we do a few B-sides or something like that, or like a Japan exclusive, or but then we kept sort of fleshing things out, and there was enough material for us to kind of like make it into an EP. So we ended up we I tend to write a lot about various like video games and just movies and things that sort of inspire inspire us. And we had a couple of songs already that were already sort of in that vein. Like we had Master of Speed pretty much already done, and that was about F-Zero. And then when the Baron came to us and had that demo for what became the Ballad of John Milwaukee, I ended up writing it about Road Rash, which was a game we were playing on our Twitch stream at the time. And I took a bunch of the suggestions from like the chat of sort of tall tales about John Milwaukee, who's a character in the game that we came up with, and I sort of wrote it as a goof. And I was telling the Baron, I'm like, we could change the lyrics if we want. He's like, no, no, these are great, these are great. So once we had those kind of songs set in place, we kind of had that theme already running. So we just kind of kept going with it and made all of these songs essentially about some of our favorite games out there. And then, of course, cover of Steve Winwood's Valerie. So just to throw people off the scent. So
I was going to ask you about that one. As far as I know, that's not about a video game.
no, but you know what? I will say that every single time when I was a kid and I would walk into the mall down the road to go to my local arcade, it seemed like every single time I was walking into the mall, over the tiny shitty speakers at the top of the mall ceiling, I would almost always hear that song. So I have this sort of association of Steve Winwood's Valerie with like walking into the arcade. So that's the loose way of how it fits on the EP, I suppose.
That's really on the periphery. Like
Yeah.
it's really
Oh
on the
yeah.
periphery.
It's a stretch. I'm stretching. Yeah, definitely.
I honestly I had never heard of that song until you guys did the cover. I'm just not as eclectic as you, and I did spend quite a bit of time on the arcade games, but maybe where I was playing, they didn't have that kind of a taste that they would play
Yeah.
that kind of music, at least leading me into the arcades. So I was really surprised by that choice, and I was really wondering where the hell did this come from? Because I don't remember any games with this music on it, and it doesn't remind me of music that would be somewhat related. But now you at least explain it. It makes sense. You're justifying yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a very loose justification, but it's there.
So let me ask you this. When I look at what you guys did with your full-length record, when I look at what you guys are doing now with this EP, when I look at what you guys are doing in terms of your live performances, I saw you guys at Mile High Power Fest.
Yeah.
Like great performance, and not just by the band, but also you and Seven Spires and you coming in to perform some of the songs with them. When I see everything that you guys are doing, Mad with Power, like everything that you guys are doing, it screams to me that independently releasing this EP seems kind of odd because you guys are doing incredible shit out there. You guys are super busy, playing great shows, festivals, doing all sorts of stuff. So is this by choice or is this by necessity?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. We had a the straight up answer is twofold. I think we haven't had any record labels ask, essentially. We haven't had any asks from any of the major labels. We did at one point in late 2019. We were going to we were thinking about signing with this one label that was we were talking to. But they sort of changed their mind at the last minute. They have two owners. One of the owners was like, "Get him, get him, get him, get him," and the other owner was like, "I don't like costumes," you know. And so that ended up kind of falling through. Um, but yeah, I mean, essentially, I think I don't know, other than the PR side of things, other than the connection side of things. I don't know exactly what a label could do in terms of like the rest of releasing this album that we haven't been able to do ourselves independently with all the 11 releases that we've released so far. That being said, I wouldn't be against hearing out an offer from a label, but oftentimes the offers that you get, I mean, at least the stuff that we've been seeing other bands get in, maybe five to 7 years ago, have been full of 360 deals, have been full of we own your music in perpetuity. And we've had a lot of experiences, and the Baron has had personal experiences with being on a label, and the label sort of forgetting about you, not doing maybe as much as you think they would for you. So we've taken a lot of the cautionary tales of that, and it's not that we're anti getting signed to a label, but it would have to be the right deal. We'd be extremely cautious about it, and it would have to kind of be on our terms. And I think that's something that a lot of labels are not really excited about, pursuing. So until then, we're going to continue being the crazy DIY band that we are. And I think for the most part, we've had really, really great success with being able to do that independently. I mean, we do basically everything ourselves, including running Mad with Powerfest. And I think it's a great thing, to be able to have that flexibility and to be able to, do what you want when you want it, and not really be beholden to anyone except for your fans.
Mhm.
So that is freeing. But I certainly wouldn't mind the label support of being placed on a larger tour or that kind of stuff. So you know um, so I guess I'm not against it, but my phone is open, my emails are open if anybody would like to
You're also
contact me. And
available on WhatsApp.
yeah, exactly. I've got it all. I've got Skype, I got Zoom, I got WhatsApp, I got even Microsoft Teams. You can contact me on Teams, baby. It's fine.
I feel like you guys, not just because of this EP, obviously, but of everything that you guys have done, including Madwood Power, you guys are really in the forefront of what I feel to be this huge resurgence of classic heavy metal mixed in with epic metal, mixed in with power metal that I'm seeing happening in the US. There's so many great bands, and you don't have to go too far. Mad with Power, Mile High, attend one of those festivals. You're going to discover a plethora of North American bands, playing this sort of genre, and not just playing it at a very high level. And I really feel like you guys are one of those in the forefront of that, really pushing that. Where do you feel like this resurgence of this specific style in an era that's kind of dominated by metalcore and deathcore? Where do you see this happening? How do you see this happening?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be super, egotistical about it, but the part of the reason for putting together Mad with Powerfest was to essentially encourage more of this style of music, and at a broader, sort of scope. We put together this idea of the new wave of nice metal buds, of everybody kind of working together, of everybody being friends, and that idea has really kind of grown and populated. Um, and a lot of that came from, in the early days, we've been playing this style of music now for like 16-ish years, and for many of our tours when we travel around the country, especially 10 years ago, it was very, very difficult to find other bands that were doing this style of music, or just even power metal in general. Obviously, power metal is way more popular over in Europe than it is here in America. So when we'd go on tours, you're right, we'd get stuck with like metalcore bands, with screamo bands. I remember a couple of shows where we were or a couple of tours where every show we were the odd man out, where there's people just like slam dancing, and then we get up there and like, all right, you want to set some stuff on fire? And they're like, who is this? So I think the idea of building Mad with Power around um, the the mid-tier bands, right? And not necessarily like immediately pulling in like Blind Guardian or Camelot or something like that, but really focusing on the mid to mid-high bands. Your Seven Kingdoms, your Seven Spires, your Unleash the Archers, your Aether Realms, like that kind of stuff, and building the community around that. What I think that does is I think that shows people who are interested in starting their own bands that there's a community out there for you, and we're all friends, we're all working together. And specifically with Mad with Power, those new bands have something that they can actually aim for. There's certain other festivals, and I mean, also Mile High Power Fest is a great addition to that sort of family of like, okay, a new band could aim for this and actually get it. There's a number of festivals out there where playing them is kind of off the table for most bands. you know um like when we were coming up, we were always saying, oh man, we'd love to play Prog Power, but they primarily just book bands from overseas. So that was kind of a pipe dream. Whereas nowadays, a band could start up and say, hey, in 3, 4, 5 years we could theoretically play Mad with Power. So I think that is that environment, that kind of like nurturing the soil, so to speak,
Mhm.
right, allows for greater diversity and allows for more bands to start up that want to do this style of metal, because they see that they could play these festivals, because they see they could be part of this community, or maybe they just see, hey, Ty and Sabrina and Adrian and Jake from Aethro, we're all buds, we're all hanging together, we're all like collaborating, we're all we're crashing at each other's houses on tour, and they look at that and they're like, man, I want to be a part of that. And the great thing is like, you absolutely can. There's no barrier to entry here. So I think that spirit, I'd like to think that spirit has sort of infected the general community, and it has made the United States kind of ripe for this resurgence of this style of metal. I'm not going to take 100% credit of it, but I will say that like it was a directed choice of ours to say, okay, if we can start making this community more of a place to be in 5, 10, 15 years, we won't have a problem anymore when we go out on the road and are trying to find opening bands. They'll be everywhere. So that was the hope, and I think we're starting to see the beginnings of that. At least I hope we are, and I'm something I'm very proud of, actually. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you guys have done and are doing a phenomenal job with that, and I think these festivals are are the they say the proof is in the pudding. In this case, the proof is in the festivals, because
Yeah.
you see these bands and these festivals popping up, and I don't think it would be possible without bands like yours, and without people like you. And then you have the audacity to create a video where you have electricity running through your drummer. I mean, I could totally see if it was the bass player, because he's the most expendable part of the band. So if you lose him, who cares? But the drummer of all people to kill a god, by the way, the song is phenomenal. It's
Thank
an
you.
outstanding track. One of my favorites on the EP, if not my favorite on the EP. But that video is a little bit outside the box. Did he do something? Did he not carry his own gear? Is like what
we're
triggered
we're
that
we're
idea?
yeah, we're punishing him for having too many toms. He's like, listen, nowadays you can only have 4 is the limit. We used to have 5, and we're like, okay, buddy, we gotta talk about this.
Yeah, we got to
No,
put you in your place.
yeah. So yeah, we had so much fun making that video. And it was definitely, oh, the cat has joined us. Hooray. We had so much fun making that video, and it was
You don't live in Springfield, do you?
I do not.
Okay,
No,
good.
but
So the
I
cat
have
is safe.
the great thing is that I have trained. This is our cat Michi, and every time we stream, and every time I'm talking to the computer, she thinks I'm streaming. And there's a button that people can press to give her a treat. So whenever I'm like loudly talking at the computer, she's like, "Oh, it's treat time!" And yeah, she will probably attempt to get my attention and get a treat here. But yeah, back to the video. I think personally that's probably the best video that I've ever shot and edited and put together. It was definitely extremely dangerous. It was the most expensive and the most dangerous video that we've ever done. The two little Tesla coils at the front, you can get shocked by those like temporarily. Like you can get a short shock and you'll probably be okay. The big one behind him though, that's over 100,000 volts, and I mean like that's pretty much instant death. So we took a long time. We took so much time like prepping the suit and testing it and making sure there were no gaps and that kind of stuff. And I think our drummer will be the first to admit that when I floated the idea to him and when I brought him to the Tesla coil people to show off the Tesla coils for the first time, he was a little drunk. And so he was like, yeah, hell yeah, why not, let's go. And then the day of shooting, he was not drunk, and so he was like looking at it, and the coils were starting to go off, and he was like, okay, guess I can't say no now, huh? We've already paid for this. Okay. His wife was texting me every 15 minutes. He was like, is he still alive? Is he still alive? And I'm like, yep, he's still alive. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that video could have easily been on live leak.
yeah, right. It could be Faces of Death, Lords of the Trident edition, right?
I mean, I thought it was super outside the box. And I think for a song like that, it definitely has its charm and it definitely has its appeal. So it was an interesting approach and an interesting take. I was just when we were watching, I was like, I wonder what the hell did the dude do and how did they convince him to do this? Because I mean, like one little thing goes sideways and the whole thing goes sideways. So that is something obviously to consider. It's not just all about fun and games. Well, it is fun and games until somebody gets electrocuted. Um,
Exactly.
Speaking of performances, like I said, I saw you guys at Mile High. Great show, great performance. The crowd was alive and eating from your hands. And keeping that in mind, do you have a favorite song to perform live that you feel like it showcases the best of the band, but it also gets the most out of the audience?
Man, that's a good question. I think that answer has sort of evolved over the years as we put out new material. I would say nowadays, probably the song or songs that I think I like to perform the most are probably Power of Evil, Knights of Dragon's Deep, and Acolyte. I think those three are bangers and ones that people really like a lot. But I think it's we're one of those bands that when we go on tour, we a lot of bands will just play the same set. Oh, she's trying to get hold on, she's trying to get the treat. I've trained her to touch my nose. There you go. All right, that's some extra content for those people. But we're one of
Folks,
those
this would
bands
not
that
happen in Springfield. This would
it
not
would not.
happen in.
It would not. um, there's a we're one of those bands that we don't typically we don't play the same set every single night to night. We'll have a few substitutions. I know there's a lot of bands that go out and they just perform the same set. And I think that's because we have so many songs, we have so many songs that we love to perform, that it's really difficult for us to pick one specific song or one specific set that we want to do night to night that's going to like check all the boxes, so to speak. um I will say that I think Off of the new album, I think also Kill God is probably my favorite as well. But yeah, off of the old album, a lot of people love Power of Evil, a lot of people love Acolyte. And one of the songs that I like to perform the most, and I think the Baron is also in this camp, off of Shadows from the Past, which was our 2018 full length. There's this big song that we do called Figaro, um, like 7.5 minutes. It's this big epic song, lots of orchestral stuff, and it's very challenging. It's very fun. It's very big and epic. So we try to perform that as much as possible, and that's more of like a our favorite sort of thing. Maybe not like audience favorite. A lot of people like it, but so yeah, it's that's such I get asked that question a lot, and it's such a hard question to answer because it's like depends on what side of the bed I wake up on in the morning, basically.
And with that in mind, are you guys already thinking of what the set list for the Japan tour with Seven Spires is going to look like?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, a big part of that is that we know that we have the same 40 people coming every single night. So we have like I feel like we have to mix it up because we are bringing 40 of our Patreon backers along with us on the trip. So they're going to see every single show every single night, and
Is that
that's
again?
another
You're taking 40 people from Patreon?
Yep, yep. Yeah, so that's another good reason to sign up for the Lords of the Trident Patreon.
All right, so
'Cause
okay, so now you got to do a little bit of a side quest here, and
yeah.
explain to me how did what is that all about? Because I hadn't heard of that.
Yeah, so when we went to Japan in the last time in 2022, we one of the ways that we could make this work is I've got a close friend who runs sort of like this small boutique Japan travel agency where it's guided tours. And he typically takes, 10 to 15 people on these hyper targeted Japan tours. And he centers them around a theme, right? So this month will be the hot springs tour. This month will be the beer tour. This month will be the anime tour, kind of a thing. So I told him, I said, if Lords of the Trident ever does a Japan tour, would you want to do a themed Lords of the Trident tour? And he was like, oh my God, yes, 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 absolutely. So when that happened in 2022, we opened up this experience, this themed experience to our Patreon backers. And we said, hey, if you want to like spend 2 weeks in Japan with us, sightsee by day, follow us on tour by night, everything is included: hotels, transportation, interpretation, tickets to things, everything is included. Just let us know and sign up. And we had a huge response. We brought 25 people over with us, and those 25 people were there at night to night, and it was such a great tour. It was so much fun. And so we decided to kind of do the same thing and also open it up to people on the Seven Spires Patreon as well. So this year we decided we're going to cap it at 40 people, which is crazy. It's a lot. I mean,
A lot of people.
I don't know if you've ever seen like 40 Americans trying to get on the bullet train in 2 minutes at once, but like, I don't know how we're going to I frankly have no idea how we're going to do this. Um, but we had 85 people sign up for this trip, and we had to do a random number generator and whittle it down to 40. So essentially they're coming along, and it's going to be an entirely like themed tour where a bunch of the stops will be Seven Spires themed or Lords of the Trident themed or that kind of stuff. So they get to have that fun experience during the day, have some dinner, and then come to every show each night. And we're going to be along for the ride with them. So we're going to be hanging with them and having a lot of fun, and going to those day events and spending time with the fans. So, much in the same way we did last time. So I'm super duper looking forward to that. But yeah, we locked it down to just Patreon backers who could sign up. And, lo and behold, we had a lot of interest. So yeah.
Wow, 40. That's great. That's great. Okay, so now back onto the main quest in the set list for this Japan tour.
Yeah, yeah. So the set list for the Japan tour, we're probably going to be playing a large amount of stuff from the Offering and a large amount of stuff from the VGEP. We haven't announced this yet, so you can this is kind of exclusive for you here. We just got signed to a Japanese distribution deal. So we're on a Japanese label over there. They're re-releasing the Offering in Japanese with fully new packaging, Japanese lyrics, the whole shebang. And so we're going to be doing a lot of promotion of that by playing a bunch of stuff off of the offering and playing a bunch of stuff off of the new EP, so that we can promote both albums. Yeah, and so I think we're gonna keep our set list changing night to night, so that no matter what stop you see us on, there'll be something a little different night to night. And you never know. There might be a little bit of maybe collaboration between the two bands. I don't know. It could be some guest appearances here. It could be some guest solos there. I'm just going to keep it nebulous. It might happen, maybe. So
I feel like there's so much fun stuff associated with this tour that it's wow, it's more than a tour. This is way more than just a tour. This is going to be quite the event for you guys, Seven Spires, and obviously the fan base for both bands. I've
yeah.
never heard of anything like this before. I think this is great. Really like sounds like really fun stuff. So I'm super excited for those that got to be picked to go on this trip.
Yeah, and this actually comes back to one of the earlier things you talked about, where it was like, we are independent. We don't have a record label, and so pretty much all the tours, including this Japan tour that we do, it's all DIY, right? It's all people that we've met along the way that are helping us out. And there's a lot of bands, both signed and unsigned, that are in this position where they really want to tour Japan. They're full of nerds, just like us. They're like, oh my god, we got to go to Japan. We want to tour Japan. It's on our bucket list. But they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to navigate, the systems. They don't know how to book stuff. And so, doing this without a record label present, without somebody like guiding them, is extremely difficult, right? I know from experience of doing it last time, it's extremely difficult. And so, we're hoping that by putting together these sort of, it's not like a tour, but it's like a fan experience kind of a thing, we can allow Japan to kind of open up to more kind of mid-sized power metal acts, not just the big giant, not just Halloween and Blind Guardian and that kind of stuff, but more of the bands in the new wave of Nice Metal Buds, more of the Mile High Power Fest and more of the Maddest Power Fest bands can go over and do something like this, because they're bringing over a group of fans, who are also having that experience. So it's less of like we're going to go over and play some shows and just do a tour full stop, and it's more of a like we're going to do a tour and have this kind of fan experience idea with us. So I've been helping a number of other bands set that up as well, and I'm hoping to like essentially open this up to just about anyone who would want to do a tour like this. I'm trying to help facilitate that for everyone. So yeah.
I think it's great. I mean, from a fan standpoint, are you kidding me? Like, this is like a dream come true. Not only you get to go to Japan, you get to hang out with one of your favorite bands, you get to see them play, you get to like see all of these other things. It's such like a uh I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. Like a bro thing to do. Like it's just like a bucket list kind of activity where you get to check so many items off of your bucket list in with one go. In one go, you just check a bunch of shit off of your bucket list.
Yep, yep. I think a lot of people see it that way too, which is why we had so many people sign up for it. So yeah, it's going to be a great experience. I'm
I,
really looking forward to it.
I expect us to hear something about Lords of the Trident travel agency in the future, and then Lords of the Trident booking agency. Like you guys are going to start like a conglomerate of all of these
Oh,
different things under the band's name.
a lot of people have already asked me. They're like, "When are you starting up the booking agency?" And I'm like, "Look, I'm one guy. Right now. I'm trying to fix. Right now, I'm trying to fix festivals. Okay, let me fix festivals first, and then we can try to fix booking. Like, oh God, yeah."
And I think the final step in this whole thing to keep in mind with the EP would be a video game, a Lords of the Trident pinball machine.
We actually it was years ago. I started putting together a Lords of the Trident fighting game, like a Mortal Kombat kind of a fighting game. And lo and behold, I didn't have enough like time in my day to, do the band, book everything, go to work and finish this stupid video game. So that is definitely one of the things on my bucket list I'd love to make. I mean, so Lords of the Trident has already appeared in a couple of different video games. in the past like 5 6 years. But I would love to make like an actual Lords of the Trident themed
Video game.
game. That would be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think that would be really good. I would start with the pinball machine, maybe. Start off with that. I'm a big
Yep.
pinball guy. So I think that would be super cool. Ty, thank you very much for your time today, man. I super appreciate you having the time to speak with me, to talk to me about the band, the EP, the tour. Have a blast in Japan. Enjoy yourself with all the patronos over there and everyone else. Have a wonderful time. You're doing so many great things for the metal scene here in North America, and we're starting to see all the seeds that you've been planting over the years. Finally, we're starting to see them blossoming into really beautiful things. So I
Awesome.
think a
Thank
lot
you
of
so much.
bands and a lot of people owe you a lot, even though if they don't know that they do, they still do it. Because a lot of the bands
Uh,
that people are listening these days, I don't think if it was for guys like you, I don't think they would even be around.
all I ask is that those bands pay it forward. That's it. I mean, like, we don't have to compete with each other. We can all be friends, and let's make the scene a place that we would want to be in when we started our band. And that's basically what it's about. It's like let's make this a good place for everybody. Let's make it a healthy place, and that's how you make the scene grow, I think. So.
I agree with you. On that note, man, thank you very much for your time. Make sure you post when you're in, when you're in Japan. Keep your Instagram alive and well. We need to
Oh
follow.
yeah.
We need to follow what's going on there. And thank you. All the best with the release on October 1st, and have fun.
Thanks so much. Yep. Thanks for having me.